Hey everybody, welcome back to A Sweet Journey. I am Sonia, also known as Sweets, and I'm really excited about the topic for today for multiple reasons. One of the main reasons is that for many years in my life, I have written in a journal. It's just been the thing that I have done for years, and it's always helped me. It's like getting the things that going on in my head onto paper, and it has served to be like really something helpful in my process. And so as I am on this journey to wellness, I thought I would share this because this is a normal practice of mine, and it's actually gone to the next level now in this season of my life. I have told you all many times that I lost my mom. It was been about maybe 5 or 6, almost 6 years this year. And when I was going through and trying to figure out kind of how would I live life without my mom, there were several things that I did. There were some spiritual practices that I did, but there were also natural things. And one of the things that I did is I went and I talked to a therapist. And so one day I was coming out of the therapist's office and I looked on their wall. There were all of these other businesses in that same building. And there on the wall was an invitation to a writing group. And I was like, oh my gosh, like that's a no-brainer. So I signed up and I went, and that's been several years now. And I go usually like once a month, sometimes twice a month. And the journal writing is mixed with therapy in some ways. And I think what happens is that they use prompts, and those prompts help you kind of get out things that are going on like subconsciously or unconsciously. And so it has been phenomenal. And so I wanted to share that this is my current journal. She's so cute. And she looks all antique-y, like I have like secrets to things in here. So I guess in the past I would have called it a diary. Now it is journal writing because I'm a mature adult. But this is my journal now that I've had with me for several years. And I realized one day I was in writing group and we were introduced to this book that kind of informs all of the things that we did in writing group. So I bought the book, and it is called Journey to the Self, and it's by Kathleen or Kay Adams. And so this book is how the writing group kind of is navigated. It's navigated using this. And so there's all kinds of writing prompts. There's all kinds of things that are used in here that are used to be helpful in journal writing. I've never really had writing prompts before. I would get up, I would write. I would go to bed, and right before I go to sleep, I would write in my journal. But now I have things that help. One of the things I wanted to introduce to you all today is the idea of writing by way of a dialogue. And it's really powerful to write in this, and it's therapeutic because you can write a dialogue to just about anyone or anything. I would say not just about, but anyone, anything. If you find that you're unresolved in something and you had a conversation with somebody and maybe they've passed and you don't have the ability to talk to them anymore, you can write to that person. And I am not promoting all of the, like, let's not get all kooky about it, but you can write to the emotion that you feel, like sadness. You can have a dialogue with sadness. You can have a dialogue, with this person when you write back and forth, and it kind of helps you to maybe get closure where maybe you didn't before. You can do dialogue to a body part. Maybe you're achy in your kneecap and you want to have a dialogue with your kneecap about the troubles that it's bringing you, whatever. So it sounds kind of off initially, but when you do it, you will see that it is quite effective. So I went through my journal and I look back and I have an entry from December 2017. And we are years from that now. And I thought, how interesting is that? And so the writing prompt, one of the writing prompts for this day was dialogue. And I chose to write dialogue in my journal to the word choices. So I wanted to have dialogue with choices. And I wanted to read to you what I wrote. Me. Choices, may I have a word with you? Choices. Sure. What do you need? Me. That's a great question. Thank you for asking. I need you to not hide when I need you. Choices. Why do you think I hide from you? Me. Because I find myself in situations that I don't believe I made a choice to be in. Choices. Well, how do you think that happens? Me. As I think about it, I think it's a lack of intentionality or mindfulness. Choices. Well, what can you do differently? Me. I can become more intentional. Choices. What do you believe prevents you from being intentional now? Me. I believe it stems from my desire to please others and need for everything to be okay. Choices. Well, is there another option? Me. Always. There's always another option, but I don't see it until after I'm in a situation that I don't want to be in. Choices. Well, what can you do differently? Me. I can start with what I want, become clear about that, and when things come up, I can gauge if it aligns with what I want. Choices. Well, that's a great idea. When will you solidify what you want? Me. Well, it's a great time to start as I close out 2017. I know I want to be healthy, especially on the inside. I know that I want to grow in my career and become expert in people development. I know that I want harmony in my spirit and in my soul. I know that I want to operate in sound thinking and actions. I know that I want to be able to leave my mark in this world without apology. I know that I want to impact as many young ladies who cross my path. I know that I want to be financially stable. I know that I've seen great and wonderful visions for my life that have not yet manifested, but they will. Choices. Very nice. Anything else you need from me? Me. Thank you. I'm good from here. And thank you for reminding me that you are available to me. Choices. It wasn't me at all. It was all you. So that's my dialogue. That's what came out. And the really cool thing when you're in a writing group or when you're doing this kind of dialogue, you just let your pen go. You just kind of write and you let whatever comes up come up. And that's what came up for me. And one thing that I love is when I look back and I reflect on my journal writings, which I do a lot. I go back and I read kind of what was I going through in 2002? What was I going through? Blah, blah, blah. And so I go back and I look. So when I was reflecting, there's several things that jumped out to me. One is in the area of developing people, like people development. That is literally my area of focus. That's what I do. I develop people. It's my specialty. And so looking back then, I wanted that skill set. Today, I actually have that skill set. That's what I do as a profession. Another thing that I think about is I have grown out of making choices that are only good for the other person or for other people. I make choices now that I start exactly what I had written there, but kind of what is it that I want and what do I believe that God is saying for me in my life? And I start in that as opposed to starting with somebody asking me to do something. And, I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, blah, blah, blah. So that has shifted. So I can reflect and I can see where I was and I can kind of clock the growth that I've had over the years. And so I highly recommend that you begin journaling. So there's several things that I want for you to take away. One, buy a journal. It is important that you have something, a place that you can log the things that are going on in your life. Sometimes you're so deep in like a sadness or you're deep into something that you don't realize when you're out of it, or you don't realize when you're out of it how deep you were in it. When you have a journal, then you can actually go back and you can reflect on, the things that you were going through and see kind of the track record of getting out of things. Second thing is I think if you have the opportunity to join a writing group, it is extraordinarily healthy. And it's healthy, especially if it is in the context of therapy. And so there's never a time in my writing group where we even talk about therapy. Therapy is not even something that we discuss as this is what we're doing. But because it started from a therapeutic place, it's what happens. I have found myself sometimes in writing when I go back to read, because sometimes in my reading group, we'll read what we wrote out loud. Sometimes I'll cry. There have been times when other people have cried in the group. Sometimes I'm so excited to write about the wonderful things that are happening in my life, just all sorts of things. So one, get you a journal. The second thing is see if you can find a writing group. Third thing is it would be great for you to consider a book that helps give you prompts, because sometimes people sit down to journal and they don't know where to start. So a book like this is one option. Of course, there's many, but Journal to the Self by Kay Adams is a good option for you. And so this is something that I would highly recommend. It's very helpful to me. So that is the third thing. And then I think one of the things that is healthiest about journal writing, and I mentioned it before, but it bears repeating, is that when you write in your journal, go back and read. Go back and read what you wrote a year ago. Go back and read what you wrote several years ago or last week. And you can kind of even update your journal as to where you are now. So journal writing as a part of being on the journey to wellness, it's just a wonderful thing for you to add. Maybe there's some things that you need to get clear about. Maybe there are several times in my journal where I wrote to myself, like, hey, Sonia, hey, girl, you're doing great. Keep your head up. Like, and sometimes you need that. In the dialogue space, sometimes, like, what if you stopped and sat down? Like, some people are experiencing great anxiety about COVID-19. What if you sit down and write about that? Dear COVID-19, cut it out. You may go now. So you can do whatever you want. All of these things are options. I highly recommend journal writing because it is just a pleasant way to get your thoughts onto paper. Thank you so much for stopping by again. Thank you for listening to me talk about my journal writing. It makes me so excited. I love journal writing. Please subscribe if you haven't already. You can also give me a thumbs up if this content is kind of the stuff that you like. You can also leave me a comment. I love to read your comments. So thank you again and have a wonderful day. Bye.